So the Marquis de Lafayette was a young nobleman from France who was really excited about the idea of the American Revolution, and he came over when he was about 19 years old and met up with George Washington and all those guys. And he was at the Battle of Brandywine. His biggest impact was at the Battle of Yorktown, which is when Cornwallis finally surrendered. In the middle of the American Revolution, he went back to France to lobby for France to send more money to the Americans so that they could continue the war against the English, because the French and the English didn't like each other, so they're kind of enemy of my enemy. But it was a very close relationship that he had with the Founding Fathers especially. So had a pretty huge impact on the American Revolution. So in 1824 and 1825, Lafayette was invited to come and tour the United States. It was the 50th anniversary of the Revolution. And he was in the States for 8 months. And in May of 1825, he came to Cincinnati. He arrived on the 18th and 19th of May. He was here, and there were parades and festivals and balls, and it was a huge deal. So this first item we have is a dress, cutlass, and scabbard, and it's a ceremonial sword. That's why it's short. It was worn by James Finley to the Lafayette Ball. James Finley was a veteran of the War of 1812. He was mayor of Cincinnati 2 separate times. He served in the state legislature, and actually his estate donated the land on which Finley Market still sits. So it's just a beautiful sword. It has an ivory grip, and it's all etched. The second item we have is a ticket to the Lafayette Ball. It says Mr. Turner on it. We haven't been able to figure out who Mr. Turner was, but more than 500 people attended the ball, so that was a lot of Cincinnati's population. The third item that we have here is programmed from the 100th anniversary of Lafayette's visit. So this isn't the first time we've celebrated his visit. In 1925, the DAR and a bunch of other historical groups, the Sons of the American Revolutions, the Alliance Française, they had a big event at the Men's Club. They had speakers and songs, and they celebrated in the schools that day. And so this is just a program from that event. And the final item we have is the first volume of a 2-volume set. Lafayette's personal secretary was a man named Auguste Levasseur, and he traveled with Lafayette throughout his entire tour. Lafayette also traveled with his son, George Washington Lafayette. So Levasseur kept a journal and diaries of the entire trip, including when they were on the Ohio River, the steamboat they were on sunk. And they had to get Lafayette off the boat and put him on the riverbank, and then another steamboat came by and picked him up and brought him on down the river. But it's not only about what happened day to day on their tours, but he also talks about, it's 1825, America is still a very new country, and Levasseur is coming off the French Revolution and how that turned out. And there was a very contentious election in 1824 where it was left to Congress to decide who would be president. And that was in February, and Lafayette is here, during that time. And Levasseur reflects on how will this new country react to this election, and will it throw them back into chaos? And he's impressed that it doesn't, that it holds up. So it's about the tour, but it's also about the American experiment when it's very young. It's kind of nice to revisit our relationship with France and how it was important. I think it's overlooked a lot in history. But also, when I spoke of the election, it talks about how, yes, people could disagree about things, but they're also really excited to see this hero come. It just shows what a huge impact Lafayette had when we look back. And, it's something we're celebrating as we head into America 250.